Hello everyone and welcome back. Today is going to be a little bit different from the videos I put out before. Today is going to be a little bit more about my journey slash kind of accountability video. So I started playing Lorcana right at the very beginning. It was my very first TCG, my very first exposure to kind of a tabletop card game. Funny stories. I went into start a new hobby and asked about kind of Magic the Gathering, and I was told, well, if you're interested in starting something new, we have this Lorcana release next week if you're interested, and it has Disney characters and it's, has some similar mechanics, things of that nature. So I kind of jumped into it there and was able to kind of find a couple of starter decks and kind of build out from there. Like any new TCG player, I lean pretty heavily into aggro and kind of aggro builds. Do miss and love me some Rockstar Stitch. And kind of stayed there for most of the first 2 to 3-ish, into kind of the fourth chapter of Lorcana, and really just kind of stayed inside of that bubble, right? That bubble of kind of playing aggro, turning things sideways, and kind of just hoping for the best. But as I did that, I had some success building and creating some really cool aggro decks. But at the end of the day, the competitive bug started to bite me. And I think it bit me right around kind of the first set championships that were held. And I remember it was... The store we're at was a very large event, and I remember I was kind of one win away from potentially bubbling into the, all the layers, but potentially bubbling into the cut, and I missed that by one win, and I had that kind of adrenaline rush from that match. Had such a great experience there in the competitive scene, and I think that's what those set championships are supposed to be for, is to kind of help transition some players that play casually for kind of the community building, the love of the game, the deck building, the creativity, like all of those amazing aspects that are super fun and healthy and great in the community. But those set championships can be opportunities for those individuals to get an exposure to more of a competitive scene. And that kind of bit me with the competitive bug. And after that, I always had this thing in the back of my mind that I wanted to play this a little bit more competitively. Fast forward to right around October 2024, I happened to get an opportunity to go to the DLC in Seattle. So about a couple weeks before that, I decided to let's sit down and take this more seriously. Let's get competitive. Luckily, in my area, I have some very competitive and very, very good players. I was able to get connected with Humble from Team Maelstrom and do some coaching there. We kind of identified some decks and play styles that were more in my arena at the time, which is kind of being more of a mid-rangey deck, things of that nature, just because it was not a hyper control deck, because that was a little more advanced than where I think I was at the moment. So something that I could play and something that could be a little competitive, but at the end of the day, I was able to go to the DLC, get a few wins, get a few losses, and overall had a really good experience. That experience started with sitting across from DKP for my very first match ever at a competitive event, and facing someone that had multiple golden Mickeys at that point, which I do want to just say what an amazing person, very nice, very understanding, very patient, very top-notch human being, and really was grateful for that to be my first kind of competitive experience, because I think some of those nerves were built up, and I think facing him and just how kind of nice and engaging and understanding he was, It was just a great experience of that first match, and overall the DLC as a whole. We'll fast forward a little bit to then we kind of come back and I do a little bit more coaching, kind of focusing on appropriate mulligans, and then leading more into what is my play style, what is this thing that I do, and how do I look at the game, how do I approach decision making and card choices, and we spent a lot of time on on inking decisions because I found myself inking cards that I needed on turn 4, and hoping I drew another one, right? So just spending a lot of time into some coaching with some very knowledgeable individuals, which definitely recommend if anyone is trying to take this journey to reach out and to individuals that do coaching, whether it be individuals from Team Maelstrom or any other team that do that. But like my personal experience with the individuals with Team Maelstrom is like top notch and really great experience. So that whole story kind of leads me up to more recently where I've kind of like really honed in on some control based decks, whether that be Ruby red purple or red blue, and that being kind of more my strategy. Even a place where recently I went down to a Southside Gaming event, finished middle of the pack, but I was happy for myself. I felt like I showed up, I made some really solid decisions, but at the end of the day I didn't quite perform as well as I'd hoped, but like I made great decisions. I was in almost every single game I played in. I never was totally out of any game I played, and I think most of them I lost. I was like 17 plus lore, and it was just came down to who had the better top decks during that time, which I'm okay losing that way. I really kind of can respect that for myself. So this is going to be kind of an active blog series for myself. I'm going to document kind of my progression in the game and progression in my decision makings and finding lines and looking at different cards and making different card choices. My main goal is to, first of all, attend at least 2 more DLCs when those are announced soon, and with some of those dates. But also, my main goal is to be able to make some top cuts of some bigger events, like whether it be some of the DLCs or either some of the big 10 plus K events that are held around. Some of my main strategies, obviously utilize some coaching when possible, but also utilizing kind of my locals because they can tend to be somewhat competitive with a lot of very good players, as well as some online platforms, whether it be virtual games or things of that nature, to improve and hone my skills. I'm really trying to get at least a couple games in every single day. I am a dad. I do have a full-time career as a mental health provider. So that all can impact my ability to get some games in and really perfect this skill set of kind of not only the skill set of card decision, but strategy, understanding other decks, how to play around certain things, how to avoid making some of those costly mistakes, and really honing these skills. Because if this is a hobby and a community that brings so much value to my life, I want to continue that journey, not only to be a competitive player, but also be like that competitive player like I had in my very first match. Like someone that you could sit across from and such a genuine good person and a good person inside the community that people walk away from those matches saying like, I picked the right hobby, these are good people, but also perform at a high level. So that's my main goal for kind of this quote unquote like vlog series that I'm going to be kind of doing. Hopefully my main goal is to make these videos once a week with kind of progress updates, maybe some insights that I found, so that not only can that potentially help other people in their journey to potentially become a little bit more competitive in this space, but also like I can look back and keep myself accountable what I've learned, how I've grown, and kind of document that whole process for myself, because I think that's important. It's important to be accountable to yourself. It's important to want to learn and grow, because there's so many beneficial aspects of playing kind of a TCG or any kind of hobby, especially for your overall mental health and well-being, whether it be community or things of that nature. And I think I'm going to put out also a video kind of highlighting the positive mental health aspects of playing TCG, especially playing Lorcana. And I think that video is going to come out soon to really kind of highlight some of those pieces. So if you want to come along this kind of vlog-based journey, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to kind of comment about kind of your personal journey inside of this. If you're looking for any kind of recommendation for coaching, please let me know. Like I said, I've had some experience with some of the members from Team Maelstrom who have been just outstanding, flexible with the times, really communicative, and I really have valued that experience just because I didn't know where to start. And luckily, some of my very first experiences of walking into play competitive cards was at a local, and I walked right in, and two members from Team Maelstrom were sitting right there playing, and they were friendly, open, and kind of brought everyone in to try to really kind of help everyone. So that's been a really great kind of starting point of my TCG career, but also I think really great highlight for the community and the Lorcana community as a whole. For the most part, I've always had these super positive and super friendly scenes, but at the same time been very competitive and very challenging to be able to succeed in those environments. So please join me along this journey. If you have also any tips, tricks about your journey of how you've improved your play, please let me know. Right now, like I said, I'm running on some let's say online platforms, as well as some video based games inside of some Discord servers. So any suggestions is more than welcome as this journey will go. And like I said, I'm going to take this along. I already have, I think, 2 or 3 competitive events already scheduled on my calendar, plus at least 2 DLCs I'll be going to. So this journey will kind of progress, and hopefully we can see some improvement in my standings. And I'm not just kind of the middle of the road kind of competitor, but I can start to kind of move up in that top cut echelon of players. So appreciate you watching. I appreciate any feedback you have, and I appreciate if you'd like and subscribe in the video, and I'll be seeing you all soon.